All right, and now this brings us to the next coincidence. So the first one is basically Trump's born on a blood moon, which is quite fascinating. And now we're going to get into some some horror movies. So the second coincidence is the 1980 horror movie Friday the 13th. Or just the whole series, because it's a whole movie series that spans multiple decades. The serial killer Jason Voorhees was born on June 14th, 1946. The question mark is there's some questions surrounding it. So the following connection to Trump's birthday is one of the most surreal ones that I have come across and was a driving force for me to make this video. The main character in the popular Friday the 13th serial killer movie series is Jason Voorhees, whose actual birthday may not be the 13th, but instead Friday, June 14th, 1946. Again, that's Trump's birthday. All right, let's start off this by looking at what some movie fandom says. So Friday June 13th, 1946, or Friday June 14th, 1946? Question mark. So let's read up on some movie fandom on Jason Voorhees, which says he was born on midnight Friday, June 13th, 1946. So this one here is Jason Voorhees. Jason Voorhees was born at the stroke of midnight on Friday, June 13th, in 1946, to Pamela and Elias Voorhees in Crystal Lake, New Jersey. He had been born terribly deformed with hydrocephalus, which is accumulation of fluid in the brain, giving his head a misshapen appearance. He had also been born mute, so he couldn't speak, and with a low IQ, equivalent to a very young child with mild mental retardation. Alright, so he was born June 13th on a Friday, 1946, so a day before Trump's birthday. But there's just one problem here. In the actual calendar that we use, not the movie one, there is no Friday, June 13th, 1946. So if you look up the calendar, there's a calendar for June 1946. This is in the U.S. time, which is, again, the movie is based in, supposed to be in New Jersey. Yeah, and which is, again, basically, it's based in the U.S., in New Jersey, again, very close to Manhattan. So if you look it up, here's the calendar. June 13th is a Thursday. June 14th is the Friday. So the question is, do they mean Friday the 14th or Thursday the 13th? So, and I'm guessing that Friday is the more important number there. But then again, 13 is 2, and so for the actual Fridays, though, is still, again, June 14th. And then if you look at the full moon, so there's the moon phases, full moon right here, 14th. So the Friday, the full moon is on the 14th, not the 13th. All right, so that's quite fascinating. So June 13th, 1946 is actually a Thursday. The actual Friday is June 14th, 1946, which is, of course, Trump's birthday. And note again that Friday the 14th is on a full moon, or more specifically, a blood moon. So again, the moon pretty much confirms that they actually mean Friday the 14th on a blood moon. So movie rundown, just to illustrate there's a full moon theme. So while the serial killer's birthday possibly being Trump's birthday, or possibly being on Trump's birthday is fascinating enough, another correlation is the theme of full moons, and this is evident in the movie poster for the first movie in the series, which shows a full moon and, interestingly, blood dripping from the knife of the, quote, killer background, and again, sounds like a blood moon to me. So if you look, this is the original movie poster, so you have a 24-hour nightmare of terror, Friday the 13th. They were warned they are doomed, and on Friday the 13th, nothing will save them. So there's the killer. And there's the blood dripping from the knife. Alright, so there's blood dripping from the knife. Right here. And the background is of the killer. And there's a full moon there. So you got blood, moon, killer. Blood, moon, blood, moon. So in other words, this is literally Trump. So a North American theoretical release poster. And going further, there's a whole bunch of moon symbology and so on. So here's a quick rundown of the movie. The movie was released on Friday, May 9th, 1980. And then an unknown person kills 2 campers at Camp Crystal Lake on Friday, June 13th, 1958. This starts at the beginning of the movie and occurs during a full moon. But note that the actual calendar has a full moon on June 1st, 1958. So the real calendar, not the movie one. And there's the opening scene of the movie at the 23-second mark. There's a full moon. At the 2:42, there's a full moon. And going further, so fast forward to the present time, Friday, June 13th, in the movie. And the killer kills another group of campers except one named Alice, which ends up cutting the killer's head off. And this also occurs on a full moon. So a lot of full moons. There's at the 1:23:09 mark, and there's the 1:23:12 mark. There's a full moon basically shining there, and this is not shining. And there's the 1:28:39 mark, and there's again full moons. All right, so before the killer dies, the killer reveals to Alice that she, Pamela Voorhees, is the mother of a handicapped boy, Jason Voorhees, that was bullied and drowned by kids while the camp counselors were distracted. So basically, the killer's mom was the one killing in the first movie. Then after that, Jason Voorhees is the main killer in the rest of the movie series, or at least most of them. So anyways, so it was bullied and drowned by kids while the camp counselors were distracted. She reveals that Jason drowned the year before the two campers were killed. So if it's a year before that, because it was June 13th, 1958. So then this makes Jason's drowning sometime in June 1957, or around that time. Note that in the actual calendar, Friday is on June 14th, 1957, and the full moon is on June 12th. So just a bit discrepancy with the moons. So here's calendar for June 1957. There is right there, Friday. There's the full moon is the 12th. This is the full moon there. But Friday is going to be June 14th, and possibly when Jason drowned. If you scroll back up here, so the movie, in this movie, it directly says that Friday, June 13th, 1958, that's when the unknown person kills two campers initially. All right, so very, very interesting there. But then the year before, when the drowning, possibly that could have been on Friday, June 14th. All right, so at the end of the movie, Alice gets attacked by Jason in the leg before she wakes up in the hospital. So there's Jason. All right, fascinating stuff. Yeah, so basically Jason lives on and stars in many more sequels as a serial killer. All right, so now that we got the rundown there, and another correlation is Jason and Trump both take Manhattan. All right, so so another correlation between the killer Jason Voorhees and Donald Trump is that the original movie is set very close to New York City. So casting for the movie was done in New York City in 1979, and filming took place in New Jersey. Then Ari Lehman, whom played the role of the first Jason, was also born in Brooklyn, New York, in New York City. So again, in one of the boroughs of New York. The movie takes place in Crystal Lake, New Jersey, which is a 1-hour drive from Jamaica Hospital Medical Center, where Trump was born. So again, it's all located close to Manhattan and Trump and so on. Yeah, so there is Crystal Lake right here and so on. And here I just quickly updated the image just to include the full name, the Crystal Lake there. All right, fascinating stuff. So this is Google Maps directions from Crystal Lake to Queens. Queens right here in Jamaica Hospital where Trump was born. And going further, here's just some more info. So Ari Lehman as the first Jason. So he also tweets about being the first Jason. And there's him, and there's the hydrocephalus. I think the makeup they added there, so add the fluid in the brain and so on, in the head, just to or give the appearance as someone with hydrocephalus. So it's very, very fascinating. So interestingly, others have brought up this discrepancy between the calendars of the movie and real life. So this is from Quora. Someone is asking. So Jason Voorhees from Friday the 13th is argued as being born on Friday, June 13th, 1946. When in fact that was a Thursday. Why didn't the writers catch that error and correct it prior to the production of the movie series? Then Roland Testa replies, prior to production of the movie series, easy, they picked the date of June 13th, 1946 for the 8th movie. Yeah, so keep that in mind. So they didn't bother with any sort of cohesive storyline for a series of movies before the first one. So again, the person is just saying they weren't really paying attention. I'm pretty sure they still haven't done that. The actress who played his mother, the actual killer in the first movie, had constructed a backstory for her character, which puts Jason's birth in 1944. October 13th would have worked that year. All right. If they really wanted a Friday the 13th in June, they were off by 1 year. 1947 would have done it. Interesting. And this other person, Stig R. Mikkelsen, says the series is full of plot holes, retcons, or retroactive continuity, and continuity errors. But this isn't one of them. So again, they're saying full of plot holes. But this isn't one of them. Okay, it doesn't matter what exact day he was born. He was simply born the 13th of June. Mrs. Voorhees' murder spree in part 1 just happened to take place on a Friday the 13th. Simple as that. There's also a full moon that night, something the sheriff tells us. We have more trouble, homicides, rapes, whenever there's a full moon. Also, parts 2 to 4 takes place on a single weekend. Part 2, Friday the 13th. Part 3, Saturday the 14th. And then this is part 4, Sunday the 15th. Is that an quote error as well? Winky face. All right. All right. So it looks like the reason some people give is that the writers just didn't bother making a cohesive storyline. So I was saying that either they're lazy or that the date quote doesn't matter. All right. So note that the movie is literally about a specific day, Friday the 13th. So I doubt the writers would unintentionally use a wrong calendar for Jason Voorhees' birthday. Again, as a serial killer. And they could have picked any date. So interestingly, the 8th film, so they picked any date. Why are they using a fake calendar? So interestingly, the 8th film of the movie series is supposedly where the exact date, June 13th, 1946 was stated. And taking a look at the 8th film, that is only fitting it is based in Manhattan. This is New York City, or New York has a new problem, and there is Friday the 13th, part 8, Jason Takes Manhattan. Again, Jason is open July 28th everywhere. Just interestingly, close to the time I was filming this, I started filming July 26th. Interesting when the UFO hearings in Congress were taking place, and right now it's July 27th. Tomorrow's July 28th, so I guess about the same time here. So source here, Friday the 13th, part 8, Jason Takes Manhattan, released July 28, 1989. And here's some more images right here. So notice the 9/11 imagery, especially for other promotional images such as the one below. So original scores or the music from the motion pictures. Friday the 13th, this is part 7 is The New Blood. And then part 8 is Jason Takes Manhattan. Again, interesting use of the word blood. There's a blood moon and so on. So music composed by Fred Mullen. So cover for Friday the 13th, part 8, musical score or music that appears in the movie. And notice this person looks like kind of an alien here. So note the World Trade Center WTC Twin Towers on the right. So there's the Twin Towers right there. And interestingly, Jason's mask looks like an alien figure, and the holes on the mouth look like UFOs flying above Manhattan. So this, looks like one of those gray aliens. And this is the UFOs flying above Manhattan. That's what his mouth kind of looks like. And this is fascinating stuff. So possibly signaling an alien invasion, psychological operation, or PSYOP. I think so. Especially with 9/11, that was some advanced tech being used there. So that was in some way an invasion, while the mainstream says we were invaded by illegal aliens. By illegal terrorists and so on. Anyways, illegal immigrants. Note that Trump has a $100 million penthouse in Manhattan. And here's an article on it. It's a $100 million penthouse where Donald Trump's family lives in New York City. So there's a whole bunch of gold everywhere and so on. Here's the address. There's 725 Fifth Avenue. And again, it's Manhattan. And it's got a $100 million penthouse. It's a Google Maps of Trump's tower in Manhattan. And here's a write-up on it. So Trump Tower is a 58 floor, 664 foot tall, or 202 meters. It makes a called note. The height is awfully close to 666 feet right there. Mixed-use skyscraper at 721-725 Fifth Avenue in the Midtown Manhattan neighborhood of New York City. Between East 56th and 57th Streets, it serves as the headquarters for the Trump Organization. Additionally, it houses the Penthouse condominium residence of businessman, real estate developer, and former U.S. President Donald Trump, who developed the building and named it after himself. And several members of the Trump family also live or have resided in the building. Here's how it looks like. It's pretty interesting design. This is the view from Fifth Avenue. So yes, that's the headquarters of the Trump Organization. So thus it appears that both Donald Trump and Jason Voorhees have taken hold of Manhattan. So yes, it's a pretty epic coincidences over here.